So it is here, the Smincke Super Granulation Haze tube set. Is it called that? I was looking at it when the Amazon Prime had their deal day, but it wasn't on sale. Look how cute they are. The miniature tubes, literally like miniature 5 ml. So let me squeeze them out and then swatch them out. So let's start with the Haze Pink. I'm very, very excited. I'm just loading up a sick amount of pigment on my brush, and then the plan is to give it some wet water to separate on. And I'm using Paul Rubens watercolor paper so that the surface got some tooth to it, so the granulation can land on the paper. Oh, it's beautiful. It was like this kind of a greenish tone, so wonderful. Love it. Let me try out the next one. It's called Haze Blue. You see the mass tone right there, and then now let me come in with some water. I'm gonna slant my paper a little bit to see. I'm so bad at doing these swatch videos. This is the indigo. Wow, very deep mass tone. Just gonna dilute it even more. That is very, very dark. I love it. It's gonna be a good friend in the palette for making contrast. I'm just gonna put a little bit more. I want to see how dark it can get. Yeah, it's actually almost black. So I predict you can create a very nice Payne's gray with this one. Yep, love it. Let's move on to Haze Brown. So if you don't like black in your watercolor kit set, you can get this Haze Indigo as a substitute. I gave myself like a really wet wash of this because I wanted to see if there's like red pigments in this brown. Not really. Okay, so let's try with a much more saturated load here. Oh, it's nice. And the last one is called Haze Black. So let's load up and see how dark can it get. It can get like really dark. And then let's bring it out. Yeah, I love it. So I'm just gonna let these swatches dry with a little slant on the paper, forcing the water to come down, and then let's watch how they look after they dried out naturally. So they're dried up. I never really get that same look as they show on the tube. Let me show you an example. Like this Haze Brown, I don't know if you can see on the tube. It looks like it's got that greenish tone, but I cannot get that green hue out. So I was wondering if you could like help it along a little bit by take your own green. So I'm taking some green right here and then dipping into the Haze Brown, mixing it in, and then giving myself a new wash, because that's how I think I will use these granulating paint, as some sort of a mix with the hue that I'm aiming for. So you can see how it's helping along the green to granulate, and I think that the more brown that you add into it, you can like speed up the darkness, pushing back the green tones even more. So that's actually how I've been using Potter's Pink. You know, if I wanted some of my violets or other colors to granulate. Like this pink haze is a little bit, I won't say disappointing, because I'm probably just using it wrong. But if you look at the tube, you can see that they marketed it like it can get like really nice, almost like a marbled effect. And I do see some marble effect, but it's so light, such a light wash, that it's I don't know, it's just very light, you know. So I'm taking some color on my palette, trying to help it along, mixing in the granulating paint, trying to create a new color. And let's see when we add water how much it will flow down. And then come back with the tube paint on top of it, see if it pushes, because sometimes paint push one another. Like the pigments are heavier in the granulated paint, so it will push to the lighter milled pigment from the color that you're mixing it with. Yeah, I think this one is more exciting than that one up there, because it's like a saturated wash, you know. Because if I had to paint and achieve that look right there, it would be like few brush strokes on the paper. Let's try and mix the black with the blue and see how we can kind of get a really dark Payne's grayish paint. I'm gonna put it over here. So now we're mixing two granulating paints with one another. Now that's a lovely Payne's gray. Ooh, I love it a lot. Got a lot of movements in it. You can see how it's rippling down the page texture, dispersing those heavy pigments. Yeah, that's yummy, yummy. Okay, yeah, that was probably the worst swatch ever on this haze set, but that's actually how I play with my pigments. Let's swatch in the indigo with this purple wash that I got and see if we get Oh, I love it. I bought the blue set because I think I like to mix my own paint gray. That's no secret. And I think a blue set is so versatile because it's one of the, you could say, like primary colors. So there's a lot of options to mix the blue set to make green for foliage, and also dark colors, and also venture into the purple and violet. Oh, I like it a lot. Yeah. Yay! Love it, love it. Okay, just for fun, while it's still semi-wet, I want to try and mist it. Oh, look how awesome it is when it's just traveling. Let me just mist the green also. It's like heavy paint, you know. It's not like when you just mist ordinary watercolor. You can really tell that you got some heavier pigments because it flows a little bit slower, but more like saturated. But I think it will dry up with a haze, you know. But the set is called the Blue Haze, so I think that the color blue should be like, I don't know, yeah, like a haze. But here you can see how you actually get that hazy look from the artwork from the box. So lovely. Yeah. I'm gonna love this. I like them already. Okay, I just wanted to film my what is it called? Month of Watercolor 2022 prompt silver, because I'm going around that prompt differently by using a gel print that I made with acrylic, and then I use some core watercolor ground to give myself some twirls. And then now I'm coming in with the watercolor. I'm using the Van Gogh Shimmery set, where they got a very, very nice dark silver and a very bright silver. So I think I should film this, because otherwise people think that I, you know, did this whole background in watercolor, and I didn't. I just also want to test how watercolor behave with the watercolor ground. Can I say watercolor 1,000 times? On top of this acrylic substrate. Yup, it's like paper, you know. Oh man, it's very likable, this watercolor ground. Okay, let me just try and do this twirl on an area with no watercolor ground on it. Actually almost the same feeling. But let's see how it dries up, if it beads up or whatnot. It's silver. I think it's a rough, hard prompt to solve, because if you don't have black watercolor paper, it's a little bit difficult on white to show something silver. So I'm just gonna do these swirls here and then call it a day. Also give me an excuse to use those beautiful eco-dyed gel prints for something. But with this glitter, you simply just have to wait until it's dried to get that final look, because sometimes the water itself makes it look so vibrant, and because the mica is moving around in the wet surface. So when it's dry, you can see the full effect. I'm going off on the acrylic background here, just a tester. Yeah, the watercolor ground comes down with a white background simulating the white paper that watercolor needs to bounce on to get transparent, so I don't have that on the just acrylic. But yeah, the twirl. On the other page I have also glued down some of the gel prints, and of course I'm gonna use those haze colors, and I'm gonna do it like really quick and fast and not think so much about it, giving myself a seagull, like a very loosely painted seagull. Basically I'm just curious how it will look when I paint directly on that surface with no watercolor ground on it. I know that you can get the transparent watercolor ground. I don't have it, but right here it would be helpful. But let's just see how it dries up. I know it's not gonna be the best. Look how it's beading up. Let's grab some gouache, shall we? I think gouache is still some sort of watercolor if you dilute it with a lot of water. So it's still okay to solve the prompt like that. I already got a lot of liquid down here, so I'm simply just dipping directly from the gouache pan because I know I got all that liquid already here. So yeah. What a mess. It's okay. It's just, you know, for fun. Oh my. I want to use some of that blue haze for the tail area here. Yeah, it's gonna be okay. And now for the orange feet. I'm not really sure how they look without a reference photo. So I'm just gonna do like this. A little bit yellow in the beginning and then more saturated orange down at the, does it even have toes? And a little bit of orange for the beak, and then use yellow for the rest of the beak. Not the best seagull, but we get the idea. Yeah. I dislike painting with wet medium on top of acrylic. It's always a strange result. But I think now I got the prompt aerodynamic and silver, and now the silver has somehow dried up. It lays pretty nice with the help of the watercolor ground. Yeah, it's likable. There's something really likable about blue, white, and silver. Yeah. But thanks for watching. This was a little bit strange upload for me. I just wanted to show my new watercolors and then solve 2 prompts in the watercolor month challenge. I'm still hanging in there. So hopefully I will finish this watercolor month prompt by doing all the prompts within that month. So wish me luck with that. Have a nice week. Bye bye. I just can't. I can't let it go. I think it's such an ugly seagull. I want to give it a second try, but this time, like I said, I really dislike using wet medias on top of acrylic. It always is an unlikable result for my part. So I tend to get like sloppy and rush through it. So now I think I should give it a try with the watercolor ground down first. Trying to sketch out the bird with the watercolor ground. And then come back and paint it one more time. So couldn't it just be awesome if I could make peace with these gel prints by finding a way to use them with the media that I love the most, which is water-soluble media? That could be like bringing in the best of both worlds, like having fun on a gel plate and then later on learn how to utilize those gel prints without going back to the acrylic. It's just that acrylic is not really my go-to media. So I bought this watercolor ground for this, you know. Okay, so as you can see, I simply just sketched out with the core white watercolor ground. Now we're gonna let that dry, and then I can come back with a watercolor topping. Okay, I'm taking up the battle one more time. Stubborn, I know. Yeah. Haze Blue for the tip of the wings. Oh, already now, can you see the difference? Already now you feel that you are actually painting and not just slapping on and beating up the color. So I might be able to mix in some of the Haze Black on the tip of the wing without getting a... Yeah, look how the colors collected here, but here they are kind of landing in strokes, feathering out much better than on a surface with no watercolor ground on it. Haze Blue to kind of... I want to tint this wing area here, just tint it because it's somehow in shadow, you know. Let me see on my computer if I actually pulled out a picture of a seagull. That's kind of helpful, right? Haze Indigo. Maybe we can do something fun just in the tip here. And then also use the indigo down here. Yeah, now I feel that I'm painting, you know. And now for the body, I want the head to have a little bit of shadow here, also under the wing part. Maybe I should paint in the beak. These things you see here is Engram watercolors. Sometimes I need to swatch out to see what I got before I fill up my pans and my palettes. That was a strange beak. I'm pretty sure it doesn't look like this. Okay, let's give it a little bit more red. Reddish. And definitely it will feather out if I come in with something black now. I think I need some help from the white gouache to define that beak area more. I like it already. Yeah, so I guess that the conclusion for all this is that watercolor ground is actually a good friend to have in the backhand if you want to utilize your gel print by going on top of them with a water-soluble media. It's not that I dislike acrylic. I mean, I just think that I get a more relaxed painting session when I'm working with water-soluble media. And I tend to stress up. Yeah, stress is a good word. When I work just with acrylic, because I'm very unfamiliar with that media. Yeah, I can't rescue this down here. I mean, I should just leave it, right? I don't really use the granulation qualities on this substrate right here, so it's kind of a waste to use the granulation mediums with the watercolor ground, because it's not like real paper, so the pigments behave differently than if you have like a piece of arches or some. Oi, no, that was too wet. Can you see that? Quickly blot it off. Maybe I can utilize that black tint by carving in the way that the eye is. I think it needs to dry before I continue. Oh, I didn't even record. This is like, how bad can it go? I had the rescue for some colored pencils, so now I'm stopping and walking away. It's not as good as it gets. It's not gonna get better. Aerodynamic and silver. So, prompt solve. Bye bye.